Hello everyone, this is part 11 of What If Naruto was in the 7 Ninja Swordsman, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Genjutsu alongside the other swordsmen and few Anbu stared at the blonde man inside the cold and semi-dark room illuminated by the lone dull light in the ceiling. His fists were clenched and he stood rock still as he stared at the table beneath him. Mei's eyes became moist when she saw him gasp for breath as the flood of emotions he had been holding back overwhelmed him. Mangetsu and the others didn't blame him when he fell to his knees and lost all self-control. Only the Mizukage stepped forward and walked towards the broken man without fear or hesitation, as he too had endured a pain like this years ago. It had nearly destroyed him until the thought of protecting his own son, the sole legacy of his beloved wife, pulled him back from that edge of darkness. He knelt beside the young man whom he now considered one of his most trusted officers and the closest thing to another son he could ever have, and laid a comforting hand on his shoulder. "How?" the man whispered miserably as his eyes became moist. "She was part of a squad responsible for capturing one of the spies hiding in our village. Things went south when they tried to apprehend the traitor. She bolted and Ino alongside her team gave chase. There was a fight and the traitor took everyone out alongside her in the end. This was all we could recover, Naruto. I'm truly sorry," confessed Genjutsu honestly, as he glanced at the half-charred arm that once belonged to the wife of the man beside him now. Tears fell from Naruto's eyes as he hesitantly reached out to touch what was left of the woman he had loved. His heart broke into a million pieces when he touched the blackened skin and felt fading embers of her chakra, which destroyed any illusion of the limb belonging to anyone else. But the fact that he felt another whisper of a different energy in that flesh made him freeze. When he looked back at the Mizukage, the man could not look into his eyes as he had seen Naruto had arrived at the most frightening conclusion. She was pregnant. The Anbus inside the room inched their hands closer towards their weapons when the air inside the room turned extremely cold and full of a powerful chakra that felt sinister in nature. There were only a handful moments in his life when Genjutsu had been truly scared. When he mustered the strength to look up and face the man whom he had revealed that bitter truth to, he was left speechless. In that moment, he saw something break inside of Naruto as the last Namikaze wept tears of B and his usual red eyes developed a black-colored slit pattern. The raw pain and heartbreak that he felt from the blonde was palpable as his own eyes moistened a bit. Ninjas are nothing but disposable tools in the eyes of their nations. There is no honor, no light, no hope in this dark world. Madara's words tore his heart apart as the raw rage and hatred inside of him threatened to burn everything to cinders. "You let her s." Genjutsu flinched on hearing that brutal accusation, but it was the despair and sadness in Naruto's eyes that rankled something deep inside of his heart. It reminded him of the moment when his wife's father had confronted him with the same feelings in his heart for the loss of his only daughter. The man had lashed out in pain and anger, but Genjutsu had never been able to forgive himself for not being strong enough to save the person he had loved most in his life. It was why he had made himself stronger and swore to not let others experience similar pain for as long as possible. Only to fail again and again. His Anbus and Mangetsu rushed to his side when they felt the K-intent exploding from Naruto. Before panic could set in and anybody made mistakes, Genjutsu raised his hand, stopping his followers from taking any action against the blonde. That restraint was a blessing in disguise as Naruto's K-intent eventually receded to bearable limits before vanishing completely. Silently, he got back up on his feet and gingerly picked up the charred arm of his wife. "Naruto," whispered Mei hesitantly, only to see him fighting back his tears. The young man looked completely lost and broken as he glanced back at the Mizukage, earning an understanding nod from the older man. The next moment the blonde was gone in a flash. He stood atop one of the nearby hills outside the mist village holding the charred arm of his lost wife. He continued expanding his sensory powers in the vain hope of finding any trace of the Harashin mark he had left upon Ino's back. His heart unable to believe or accept the fact that she was gone forever from this world. Taking with her what was left of his heart and hope for the future. Silence was all he received. "If we make it through this, what do you want to do?" He remembered Ino asking him this question the night just before he left for his last mission, and it made the heartbreak even more unbearable as he knew what he had told her then. Maybe once this war is over and Azu is safe, I would like to come with you to Konoha if you and your people shall accept me. I'll make sure of that. But only if we retire, get a house, some boring jobs, be normal just like everyone else. Maybe even have a few blonde children someday. Why go so far for someone like me? Nobody had ever looked at him with that gaze of love and fondness as she had when he asked her that. I love you, Naruto. His agonizing scream echoed across the entire area as he fell to his knees and miserably stared at the charred limb in his own hands. The destroyed remains of a lost future. It felt even worse than any heartbreak he had ever suffered in his long and miserable life. This feeling of absolute grief tore him apart from the inside into a million pieces. He couldn't protect his parents, his brother, his friends, his comrades, and now his wife along with his unborn child. Why did he survive when everyone else around him continued to s? Was this justice for his sins? Was there no end to this senseless s? Was he fated to endure such pain for the rest of his life? He couldn't close his eyes as all he could see then were the broken shards of the future he could have had with her and this child. A future free of war and death. Hatred surged through his heart like never before as he remembered why she s. It was time he kept his promise. Tobirama had been calmly sitting on a chair when he felt another presence appear inside his house. You came. He looked back and was quite disheartened when he saw the sheer rage and heartbreak in Naruto's eyes. He was particularly alarmed by the new pattern of his eyes and how his chakra seemed more vicious and dark than before. Has he unlocked that cursed power? No, it's not complete and never will be, thought Tobirama with a sigh of relief. Having fought Uchihas his entire life, he knew a few things about the dojutsu and Naruto didn't have a perfect one of that. His Uchiha genes were not that dominant or strong unlike his Namikaze and Senju blood. Tobirama got up from his seat and knew he had to act quickly as the boy was out for B. I kept my promise. Naruto's eyes widened on hearing what he had from Tobirama, and the unwavering gaze of the second Hokage gave him something which he never thought he would ever experience for the rest of his life. Hope. Then, he whispered, his voice nearly trembling. Tobirama poured some water into a glass before walking towards the traumatized boy and offering it to him. Naruto looked confused and lost, but the gesture calmed him down as he took a seat atop a chair and drank the offered water in silence while Tobirama took up a seat beside him. We take care of our own and I know how much she means to you, said Tobirama gently. But I found her hand, whispered Naruto hesitantly, massaging his forehead as he felt a massive headache growing. Injured but not s. She's safe now and back where she belongs, home, revealed Tobirama with a smile. How? You're not lying to me, are you? Asked Naruto seriously, his narrowed gaze searching deep into Tobirama's own soul for the truth. He was surprised when the man before him vanished in a flash and appeared inside the kitchen for a moment, only to then teleport himself back into the chair where he was previously sitting. On closer observation, the blonde saw a strange marking similar to his own Harashin on that chair. You're not the only one to master Harashin. I got Ino out of trouble by cancelling your marking over her body so that in the event if you were captured someday, you could not be forced to harm her or Konoha, revealed Tobirama patiently. I still need to see her with my own eyes, insisted Naruto, although Tobirama could see much of the boy's doubts had vanished. I can teleport myself away from here anytime, it is why I allowed our spies to pull out with Ino while leaving me behind. This alliance between our villages is important and it is why I believe the Mizukage would send you and the other swordsmen to Konoha in order to seal the pact soon. When that happens, you can meet her or we'll arrange for another occasion, suggested Tobirama, earning a hesitant nod from the boy before him. Then I really hope you keep her, and my child safe. Tobirama was surprised that Naruto knew about the unborn child, had the Mizukage told him. That would be the most likely answer, but at the same time he also realized just what the boy was entrusting him with. You have my word, but the less you know the better. I'm sure you understand how much danger you will put her in if the mist discovers she survived. As long as you are on assignment from a zoo in this village, you'll be in danger. If you are ever captured. Tobirama left it at that, hoping a seasoned shinobi like him would understand the ramifications of such a possibility. Apart from Tobirama himself and Tsukumo, nobody else knew the whole truth of what happened that night. All of Konoha's spies within the mist were pulled back to their homeland after that crackdown that could have exposed them all. Hiruzen Sarutobi had agreed with Tsukumo's request of not exposing such treachery to the Mizukage, certainly not when they were so close to securing a strategic alliance with them and get Tobirama back to Konoha. Azu also had a few spies including Naruto inside the mist, but after that incident with Ino, the Azukage had pulled back nearly half of his men back to his village while the rest went underground. Only Naruto, who was now such a public figure, could not be pulled back so easily. It was something which Tobirama hated, as it placed his only son all alone inside the most brutal ninja village in the world. He explained the entire situation to his son and was quite proud when he just gave a silent nod of understanding. If you want, I can have a word with the Azukage to pull you away from here. It's too dangerous, especially when you barely have any allies left here now, suggested Tobirama with a hint of worry present in his voice. No, Lord Tobirama. You have already done more than enough for me, I'm in your debt, whispered Naruto with a grateful smile as his red eyes vanished. Never mind that, as I did what any Hokage should. Why do you want to stay here? If Azu wants to waste such a fine shinobi by endangering his life so recklessly time and again, then Konoha would be honored to have you join us instead. You can be with Ino, live the peaceful life that you deserve. Be a father and raise your son or daughter, argued Tobirama fiercely, knowing exactly well how it felt to miss out on one's own child's life. Naruto's gaze softened on hearing those words, as he imagined having all of that until he remembered just what he had encountered in his last mission. No, I must stay here. My presence here is essential in establishing and maintaining the alliance between Konoha, Azu and Kiri. The Mizukage trusts me, and after his crackdown which got Ino supposedly K, I have an edge over the man. It is essential to defeat our true enemy and the threat that shall come after, explained Naruto seriously. What are you talking about? Asked Tobirama with a frown. Madara Uchiha is still alive and is the mastermind behind this war. Naruto couldn't blame the Senju leader when he blanched in fear and his face lost all color on hearing that truth. He went on to patiently explain the events of his last mission and what Madara wanted from him as well. Tobirama remained silent for several long moments and was grateful that Naruto sat by his side in silence, allowing him the time to grasp the situation in its entirety. Why didn't you join him? Asked the Hokage hesitantly, his prejudice against his own son's Uchiha lineage unable to be kept at bay, certainly not after seeing the new pattern of his red eyes. This was the same shinobi who had threatened to destroy Konoha had Tobirama not kept his promise of protecting Ino. Had he failed that night, Naruto would have truly destroyed Konoha in revenge. He wanted to believe the boy was better than that, he wanted to have faith in his own son and Inoe's upbringing, but he had to be sure. I lost my entire family because of the war he started. No matter his reasons, I can't stand to follow him. Also, his method of force and subjugation won't work. True change can only happen when the people realize and accept the best choice in order to make their life better. Meeting him and learning the truth made me realize that violence shall only attract more violence. Humanity must learn to coexist together, and that includes overcoming old grudges. It will not be easy and we may fail time and again, but we can't give up. I don't want my own child to ever experience the things that I have in my life, and for that I will everything, my hatred, my dreams and my life if needed. If Madara's theory about the Otsutsuki are true, then the ninja villages need to stop this senseless war and prepare for our true enemy. The alliance between Konoha, Azu and Kiri will be the first step. Together we can force Kumogakure to sue for peace, and in time the others as well. And maybe someday, we shall be truly united to face our destiny. When he looked back at the Hokage, he was shocked to see a lone tear fall from the man's eyes. Lord Tobirama, he asked uncertainly. I'm okay. It's just you reminded me of my own foolish elder brother. You may have eyes similar to Madara's, but you have Hashirama's soul. You share the same dream as him. I can finally see what he saw in you all those years ago. I'm truly sorry for not trusting you fully till now, said Tobirama happily with a faint smile. The feeling's mutual, retorted Naruto with a smirk. In that moment, Tobirama couldn't help but see echoes of Inoue and Hashirama in the boy before him. They may be gone from this world, but their legacy was still alive. A legacy he was a part of, and one which he needed to reveal. Naruto, there is something you need to know. I don't know how to say this, but there is a reason why I went so far for Ino. It had nothing to do with her but something to do with you actually, explained Tobirama hesitantly. He wished Mito was here as his sister-in-law was much better at such delicate situations than an upfront man like him who barely knew the nuances of being emotional. I know, Lord Second. Tobirama was left speechless once again on hearing those words, and one look into Naruto's calm and collected gaze was enough to unsettle the Hokage's heart. His lips parted several times but no words came out until Naruto gave him a reassuring smile. How long have you known? Were you planning to stay silent about this for the rest of your life? Asked a baffled Tobirama, with some anger seeping into his voice. Mother told me the truth before she asked me to take Nagato with you to Konoha and seek asylum, answered Naruto sadly. Then why didn't you? You think I would abandon my own son and the brother he cared about so deeply in the direst hour? Questioned Tobirama disappointedly, but Naruto shook his head. I didn't have any proof to give you except for the testimony of a woman. Even if I had swore a vow, family, duty, honor. How could I or my brother abandon our nation in its most crucial hour? Our parents to keep it safe, and we would be damned if we let their legacy be destroyed. Nagato protecting that legacy, and I'll fight for it till my last breath, for I am Minato Namikaze of Uzushiogakure. Said Naruto fiercely, his conviction never wavering for a second. A look of understanding and immense pride arrived in Tobirama's eyes as he got up from his chair and stepped beside the boy, placing a firm hand upon his shoulder. Minato, huh? Asked Tobirama with a gentle smile, as he realized his son's true name, which made him immensely happy and proud at the same time. Yeah. Though Naruto isn't too bad either, I think I might just use this name instead, as those who knew me by that name are nearly gone, said the blonde somberly, earning a sad smile from Tobirama as well. Your mother would have been proud of you, of the man you have become. I am too, praised Tobirama honestly. I'm not that great, Lord Tobirama, replied Naruto, and received a swift bonk on the head, and Tobirama glaring at him with an annoyed gaze. Learn to accept praise. Gosh. You have a worse sense of self-respect than my elder brother. Lamented the Senju head tiredly. You did say I am like him in some ways, teased Naruto with a cheeky grin. That you are, agreed Tobirama with an annoyed gaze. Neither of them could stop themselves from bursting out into fits of laughter after that, and Tobirama was quite relieved to having made a start towards establishing a real relationship with his own son. They ended up talking for hours, mostly about their lives in their respective villages, only to realize their beliefs about shinobi were quite similar. Tobirama was quite surprised when Naruto strongly protested against his wariness towards the Uchiha clan and instead urged him to not judge an entire community on the actions of one man alone. It amazed him to discover just how much faith and trust his son had in so many things in this world despite all that he had went through. The fact that he freely admitted that there were times when he lost himself in anger and hatred but never wanted to give up on hope for a better tomorrow showed how much different he was from Tobirama himself, who had a cynical and more cautious approach towards everything. In that way, he was more like his kind-hearted mother, who found in her heart enough love to care for a man like Tobirama himself. Watching Naruto talk ignited a small regret in the Hokage's heart as he wondered how different his life would have been had he made better choices. I am truly sorry for not being there for you all these years, Naruto. I am truly sorry for what happened to Inoue, if only I, apologized Tobirama sadly, only to see his son shaking his head in denial. It's not your fault. Mother only had praise for you. She said you were a strict and disciplined person but not one without heart. What you did for Ino proved that, said Naruto with a grateful nod. I only wish that there was something more I could have done, regretted Tobirama. There is something actually. Tobirama felt renewed hope in his heavy heart on hearing those words and was more than determined to cherish this opportunity that Naruto was giving him. My child, I will do all that I can to build a better future for him or her, for Ino and for our nations. But if I don't make it back, please look after them. Protect them, requested Naruto sincerely. I will. But someday this war will end and you can be with your family. If you're ever in trouble, promised Tobirama without hesitation, as he passed a single seal from his pocket towards his son. Naruto didn't miss the Harashin mark over that piece of paper and the resolve in Tobirama's eyes. I'll be there. He clearly saw the hesitation in the boy's eyes. Being a spy in a hostile village was a great risk. Naruto knew and understood the ramifications he could create if he was discovered and asked Konoha, Izuo or Tobirama for help. It could destroy the budding alliance between these villages, maybe start another war. If that time comes, then let me s. Why? Asked Tobirama sadly. His heart didn't want to accept it, but his rational mind already knew the answer to his own question, and yet he couldn't bring himself to accept it. The future must stay bright and peaceful, no matter the cost. The silent protectors, that's what being a ninja is to me. I intend to walk on this path until the bitter end, if need be. But don't worry, I'll be careful. After all, I have a family to return home to thanks to you, said Naruto gratefully. Not just them. You have me, the Senju clan, hell you have cousins and nieces, nephews. You're not alone anymore, Naruto. I respect your wish and words cannot describe how proud I am of you, but you also can't stop us from helping you if you are in trouble. Understood? Asked Tobirama seriously, leaving no room for any more argument from the boy with his firm tone. The Hokage was pleased when Naruto didn't argue and instead gave a gentle nod of understanding. He was quite surprised when their banter continued till morning and they ended up talking about so many things: their plans for this war, how to deal with Madara, to investigate the credibility of the Otsutsuki threat. The Uchiha Shrine must hold some information on the Otsutsuki. While I don't want to believe aliens are real and are coming for humanity, if a man like Madara is crazy enough to start a war over it, then it must be investigated at the very least. Leave it to me, assured Tobirama. I'll also ask Izuo to investigate and cooperate in laying the foundation for the alliance between Kiri, Konoha and themselves. I don't know what plans High Command has for me now, but I'll do what I can. I wish there was a faster way we could communicate with each other to handle such important matters, explained Naruto, getting a nod from Tobirama as well. Let me consult Mito on that. She'll be pleased to know that she has a nephew and would be more than happy to help us figure out a way to stay in touch frequently, suggested Tobirama. Naruto nodded and glanced at the clock afterwards. Tobirama understood as both men got up from their chair and stood before each other. Hesitantly, Tobirama extended his right hand towards the boy and was pleased when Naruto returned the gesture with a smile. Thank you, Inoue. 2 days later, there was a somber silence in the military burial grounds as a large casket holding nothing but an arm was lowered into the ground. Genjutsu was quite surprised to find so many clan heads present for this ceremony, along with shinobi who had fought alongside or under the tall blonde man currently dressed in black. The 7 ninja swordsmen were present and Mei stood alongside them looking worriedly at the silent blonde man before them. Genjutsu had never expected hundreds of villagers to also show up for this ceremony as well, but they did, and it only went on to make him realize something which he had known somewhere deep in his heart. Slowly but surely you are bringing this village together in ways that neither I or my predecessor could. Maybe someday you'll make a great Sandaime, 3rd, or Yondaime, 4th, Mizukage, thought Genjutsu honestly with a faint smile. A true shame. Genjutsu's gaze narrowed when he heard few of the clan heads whispering amongst each other. Unknown to them, his hearing was quite sharp and the Mizukage was quite disturbed when he realized the true reason behind their presence here. Indeed, what will happen to the future of the Namikaze clan? It will be a shame if it ends with him, said Lady Reika Kaguya in a condensing tone, the leader of the Kaguya clan. A noble like him deserves a wife equal in standing, unlike that commoner. He should have a wife of noble B who can help him grow his clan in the village, suggested Lord Hiro Hagoromo with a frown. Genjutsu clenched his fist on hearing what he had from these jackals. Out of all the clans, he was wary and suspicious of the Kaguya and Hagoromo clans the most. Granted, each ninja clan and its leaders had their own selfish agendas, but none took it as far as these two did. To say such cruel things on such a day of mourning was truly shameful. He was pleased when both of the clan heads flinched on seeing the Mizukage's glare and instantly silenced their foul mouths, but not without heavy frowns. Lord Second, it's best if you keep the boys safe for the time being, pointed Lord Yamato Yuki, glancing disapprovingly at the Kaguya and Hagoromo clan leaders. The suggestion given by Haku's father and the leader of the Yuki clan reminded Genjutsu of the fact that there were still decent people like these in the village and they were worth fighting for. When he looked at the man, he was further surprised on seeing Minaze Terumi and Yagura Karatachi also sharing nods of agreement. Together the trio represented a significant portion of Kirigaku's noble bloodlines, and the fact that they were all standing together in Naruto's support showed quite a lot of the boy's growing influence in the village. He's a hero of this village. We'll be damned if we let those vultures get to him in his current state, promised Minae's Terumi fiercely. Genjutsu acknowledged that pledge respectfully, but deep down he could not help but feel that the man did have some hidden motive, and it was proved when he saw Mai Terumi walking towards Naruto and placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Somehow, it didn't trouble Genjutsu as much as the talk from the Kaguya and Hagoromo clan leaders had. Was it because he knew that Mai was a good person? Even an idiot could see the girl was attracted to Naruto, but unlike many other women in this village who only adored Naruto for his looks, skill, or noble lineage, Genjutsu had a feeling that Mai looked up to him as a person more than anything else. The fact that Naruto didn't refuse her comfort and gave a grateful nod showed the Mizukage a possibility to protect the boy from those vultures. Village politics would soon catch up with the boy sooner or later. He was just too important and a public figure at that. After his recent heroic exploits, he was known and respected by almost the entire village. Kirigaku was very keen about protecting its ninja clans, and it won't be long before other clan heads raised the concerns about the future of the Namikaze clan now that its only survivor and leader was a widower with no heirs. It was a problem Genjutsu would have to deal with quite sooner than he expected, judging from the predatory gaze that Lady Reika Kaguya had towards the last Namikaze. But for now, he was quite pleased to see the remaining swordsmen standing alongside Mai to support one of their own in such a tragedy. Few hours later, Naruto sat across the edge of his apartment's balcony holding a half-burnt smoke in one hand. He released a puff he had been savoring, which only brought back memories of moments like these in the past when on occasion Ino would join him during cold nights, sharing a smoke or two while they both just watched the dark sky and the beautiful moon. It felt strange to come back to an empty apartment after having her as a part of his life for years. He missed her fragrance and the smile along with the kiss she used to give him every day when he arrived back from work. No matter his problems, it always used to lighten his mood and make him smile. And even though he knew she was alive and safe, which was all that mattered, a selfish part of his heart wished she was by his side. Now, he was truly alone in this village. He didn't fear death and was prepared to make the ultimate S if it came to that point, but now more than ever he had to watch his back with most of his allies gone from here. His thoughts wandered towards Madara, the Otsutsuki threat and the ongoing war. All of it made one thing clear to him. The shinobi of the present needed to unite, and most of all they had to modernize the way they fought. Conventional warfare would not be enough to fight the wars to come. He already had a few ideas that he planned to implement, ones that could change the shinobi system in a revolutionary manner in the decades to come. Unlike Tobirama, who was a master in creating new jutsu and techniques, Naruto knew his strength lied in tactical warfare and military doctrine ingrained in him ever since he was a child. He inhaled another puff of smoke and was just about to release it when his breath stopped. His gaze narrowed as he tossed the smoke aside and glared at the inside of his apartment. "Do you want to S?" he asked icily. His intent vanished when he recognized the chakra of the intruder, and he was left speechless when she walked into the light, revealing herself. "Why are you here?" he asked, a bit of anger and disappointment evident in his bitter tone, and he had every right to be, after all the trouble he went through to keep her safe, only to end up here. "Good things do happen, Minato. Aren't you happy to see me?" she asked in a slightly hurt voice. He narrowed his gaze at the woman, while her chakra felt the same. He could not help but feel something was different about her now. "Why are you here?" he asked suspiciously. Kushina Uzumaki sighed on hearing his stubborn question before taking a deep breath and looking into his eyes without a flinch. "Because Lord Azukage commanded it, because we have a new mission for you." "What did you just say?" asked Naruto suspiciously. Kushina gestured for him to follow her inside the apartment, and he did without question despite his shock. He gave her a pointed stare once they were in, earning a tired nod from her. "I'm your new handler, Naruto. The village leaders understand that you didn't pay much attention to the orders from the previous one and did what you wanted most of the time," revealed Kushina with a frown on her face. "I have always been loyal," defended Naruto fiercely. "Nobody is doubting that. But even you agree that over the years you have started doing things your own way. Yes, you have established yourself very well in Kiri, but not in the way the leadership wanted," explained Kushina patiently. If they want it done their way, thinking themselves to be better than the men on the ground, then they can do this job themselves. Retorted Naruto bitterly. He never forgave us for what happened to the Spartans. He froze on hearing Kushina reciting that accusation, and one look in her sad gaze made him realize just who had told her this. The Azuki said that to me. Despite everything, he still has faith in you, but it's time you and they reconcile these differences for Azu's sake if nothing else. It's why they sent me here, said Kushina honestly. Naruto sighed as he lit up another cigarette and sat on the couch silently. Kushina sat by his side and laid a comforting hand on his shoulder while giving him a sad smile. I'm truly sorry for what happened to Ino. If there is anything I can do for you, she whispered somberly. Some of his anger disappeared when he looked in her eyes, and only now did he realize she was the same girl he had loved all those years ago. He was angry and sad, with these emotions clouding his judgment. He didn't like the way the village had placed his last friend in danger like this, or the way they were using her against him. The Azuki knew very well that while he liked to do things his way, he would not cross a line if it meant that would reflect badly on Kushina or put her loyalty to the village in jeopardy. They are using you against me, Kushina, he whispered bitterly. I know, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can continue doing things the way you want, but there are some basic objectives where I will need your help with, irrespective of your personal feelings. You understand that, don't you? She asked gently. Good ninjas follow orders, he repeated in a mocking voice, earning a scoff from her. They do. But good friends have each other's backs. He couldn't hide his smile or his eyes from becoming moist. Everything had happened so fast and he had to put up a facade in front of others, even with Tobirama to some extent. But the truth was that he was devastated. He blamed himself for not being there to protect Ino, for the pain she must have went through when she lost her arm, and this feeling of emptiness he felt now that she was gone. Kushina hugged him fiercely in her warm embrace, and it was then that the dam broke. She listened as he told her about the events that had happened after he rescued her. Many of the revelations shocked her, but never once did she let go of him and continued rubbing his back and hair affectionately. Madara's existence and his plans for him troubled her greatly, but she had faith in him, and his refusal to join the man proved she was right. It'll be all right, Naruto. Someday this war will end and you can meet her and your little Spartan, said Kushina with a warm smile, trying her best to hide the heartbreak she felt within her own on saying those words. But it was enough to give him hope, and seeing his smile made all the pain worth it. Little Spartan, he asked fondly. I don't care who his mother is. He's the child of our Spartan commander, and that makes him a part of our family no matter where he is, said Kushina with a proud smile. You seem quite sure it will be a boy, said Naruto with an amused smile of his own. Call it a woman's intuition, she retorted with a smirk. Then he'll be honored to have a Spartan godmother. Kushina's eyes widened in shock and she was left speechless, only able to look at him with an astonished stare, and received an encouraging smile and a comforting hand on her shoulder from him. Why me? She asked in a whisper. I trust you, Kushina. You were there with me from the beginning. You're my family and I want you to be a part of it forever. It's selfish of me, but would you accept it? He asked hopefully. You know how to sweet-talk a girl into doing anything, bastard, replied Kushina with a faint smile, but her moist eyes and choked voice as she accepted his request were more than enough to reveal her feelings, which made him immensely happy. Thank you, Kushina. They both just looked at each other for a few long moments before Naruto kissed her forehead and got up from the couch. So, what's this mission that you want me to do? He asked seriously. She snapped out of her daze and immediately took out a small scroll from one of her pouches and placed it on a table in front of her, earning a curious gaze from him. Our village needs an ace up its sleeve. We are too dependent on Konoha for our survival. There will be drastic changes made to our ninja forces once this war is over, and if we survive, she began with a straight face. I hope they are not planning to start another Spartan program, whispered Naruto worriedly, as he couldn't imagine more young children being pushed into that kind of meat grinder. No, but ever since the Spartans perished, our village lacked its own special forces. Soon enough, the Azuki is planning on establishing our own Anbu Black Ops force made up from veteran shinobi and not children. Although a few child prodigies may end up being a part of it nonetheless, she answered sadly. I guess it was bound to happen sooner or later, acquiesced Naruto with a heavy sigh. And since our village does not have a tailed beast to protect itself unlike the other great villages, we are developing our own secret plan that we will bring us on parity with them soon enough, revealed Kushina with a grave nod. What is it? Asked Naruto warily, as the last time a zoo had tried something like this many young children had before their time in the most brutal way possible. They are creating a WMD weapon of mass destruction. The great villages will never let us get a tailed beast in order to maintain their superiority. Our village and economy is smaller, so we cannot go on an aggressive campaign deep into their lands or hold them permanently in case if we miraculously penetrate deep behind their lines. As such, we need a strong deterrent against any enemy invasion into our lands, answered Kushina seriously. And where do I come into the picture? Questioned Naruto with a suspicious gaze. Your mission is to steal as much of the Biju chakra from Mei Terumi and store them inside the storage seals present inside this scroll. Each scroll full of seals should collect enough chakra for us to create one WMD which our scientists will weaponize. Its estimated yield would be enough to flatten nearly 50 kilometers of land to ash instantly and another 100 kilometers to be significantly devastated. If our ranged weapons program is a success, then we can also initiate a preemptive strike against our enemy into their heartland. We need to make at least 20 of such weapons to begin with to deploy them equally across all our borders, even the one with the land of fire to safeguard our nation forever. Will you do it? She asked seriously. Naruto was silent as he thought about what he had just heard. This was possibly one of the reforms that could either reduce warfare in this world or escalate it to a whole new level. A part of his heart felt remorse as he knew he had no choice but to carry out this mission as it came from his village leader, but it would mean deceiving Mei, which he wanted to avoid if possible, considering how her own village had treated her and how she trusted him. But a part of his heart knew this was necessary for Izu's safety and independence from the land of fire and Konoha. I'll do it, but don't ask me to harm or abduct the girl, warned Naruto clearly. Our village wants this alliance that you are trying to build between us, Kiri and Konoha. But we have to be seen as their equals instead of lessors. You have to understand that, she explained patiently. Fine. But this will take time as I'll need to come up with something legitimate that makes me get closer to Mei and make her use the Biju chakra, pointed Naruto. We understand. But give me regular reports on your progress which I shall forward to the Azukage, said Kushina with a serious gaze. Naruto gave a mock salute, earning a scoff from her as she vanished in a flicker of wind. He inhaled a deep puff of smoke and couldn't help but walk towards a picture of himself and Ino on a shelf. Looking at the sight of her in his arms with both of them smiling brightly reminded him of what had to be done. 1 week later, Naruto was present for the council session called for by the Mizukage himself in order to discuss about their progress and the future strategy to be implemented in this war. All clan heads, ninja organization leaders and military experts were present for the meeting. Even his own squad was there, but the swordsmen were hanging around the rear with the exception of Mangetsu, who stood nearby his father. The Anbu commander was pointing at the city of Osaka in the Land of Lightning, a place which Naruto had captured some time back. Granted, half the city was destroyed in the attack, but they had taken care to preserve the military buildings, food storage facilities, hospital and other important locations. Now, it had been turned into a stronghold maintained by a regular Kiri garrison and was ready to be used as a staging area for further advances into enemy territory. There is currently a succession crisis going on in the daimyo's court ever since we took out the last one thanks to Naruto and his team, praised the Anbu commander. Naruto didn't say anything but was satisfied to receive respectful nods of acknowledgement from nearly everyone in the room. He looked back at his swordsmen and saw them grinning as well, which made him smirk. But it won't last long, will it? Asked Genjutsu seriously, looking towards Naruto specifically. While he had told the truth about Madara to Tobirama and Izu's leadership via Kushina, he had kept this fact hidden from the Mizukage and the Kiri leadership. In his mission report, he had mentioned encountering a powerful shinobi with red eyes, but one that he took out. Never once did he mention that it was Madara, or his plans, or what the man wanted from Naruto himself. It was hard to predict how Kirigakure would react if they learned this truth so early. It might even make them ponder about pulling out of this war, which would be the death knell for Konoha and Izu, which were under great pressure at present and needed Kiri to open up a new front against the powerful Kumogakure and its allies. No, Lord Second. It's why we need to make our next move now, agreed Naruto, as he stepped forward. He went on to explain about the strategy that he and Genjutsu had agreed upon before he went on his last mission to assassinate the daimyo. There were a few changes made to the plan recently, but he took up center stage as a secret doent was delivered to each clan leader and military officer. In essence, it involved distributing Kirigakure's ninja forces into 4 legions. The 501st, the 212th, the 99th, and the 47th Legion. Except for the 501st, who would have a limited amount of shinobi only, the rest of the legions would have nearly 5,000, 6,000 troops each. The 47th Legion would be under the strict command of the Anbu commander and be stationed permanently inside the Mist Village for its protection. That suggestion earned firm nods from everyone, including the Anbu commander in the room, as nobody wanted to leave their home defenseless. The 212th Legion would be led by Yagura Karatachi and would be stationed in Osaka. From there, they would open up an eastern front against Kumogakure and invade further into the Land of Lightning. Considering Yagura had the 3 tails inside of him, gave the Legion much better chances of success against the enemy. That suggestion faced some resistance from the more important clan heads like the Kaguya and Hagoromo, who were reluctant to have a much smaller sized clan leader like Yagura to be given such an important role over them. That opposition was silenced by the Mizukage instantly, with the promise of having something of equal importance for the other great clan heads as well. The 99th Legion would be led by Lady Reika Kaguya and Lord Hiro Hagoromo jointly. Together they would make a secret landing on the northern shores of the Land of Lightning in the next few weeks. With most of the enemy forces focused on other fronts that should not be too difficult, and from there they can open up a northern front against Kumogakure. That was enough to satisfy the bitter clan heads and bring an end to their misgivings and opposition. Genjutsu gave a hidden thankful nod towards Naruto, which the boy returned, as neither of them trusted these 2 clans very much. As such, they had placed most of the Kaguya and Hagoromo clan warriors along with those other ninjas who shared their superiority beliefs inside the 99th Legion, while keeping the more moderate to liberal-minded fighters in the other legions. The fact that they had sent the Kaguyas and Hagoromos to fight in the mountainous terrain of the north would make sure that their numbers would be dwindled in the fierce fighting, which would serve to limit their interference in the village affairs, unlike the present where they frequently tried to step out of line and oppose anything good that the Mizukage tried to do for the village but didn't benefit them. Lastly, the 501st Legion led by Naruto himself would establish a base in the south nearby the Land of Fire and Azu's borders. If an alliance was formed between their villages, they would be linking up with armies from those 2 nations and pierce through the south, thereby bringing an end to the Land of Lightning, as they would be attacked from 3 fronts at the same time. The 7 swordsmen alongside Mei would remain with this legion, and as expected that point was fiercely opposed. Surely, you don't plan to leave our village defenseless without at least 1 Jinchuriki and our finest swordsmen? Opposed Lord Hiro Hagoromo with a glare. You have an entire legion led by the capable Anbu commander for your protection. The Mizukage himself is here, my lord. Or do you doubt the capabilities of these brave men to defend our home? Asked Naruto pointedly. Lord Hiro saw some of the other clan heads smiling at him as he found himself receiving stares from the Anbu commander and the Mizukage himself, which made him sit down and concede the point. Why is our village blacksmith here? Asked Lady Reika Kaguya with a frown, as she pointed at the old man standing in the corner of the room. Naruto sighed at her constant intervention but chose not to comment on it, and instead gestured to one of the Junin, who lowered a chart with a unique diagram on it as the blacksmith stepped forward. It was the picture of a winged device with a person attached to it while holding a strange-looking weapon in his hand. Naruto was amused on seeing the curiosity in the eyes of the Kiri shinobi. If only they knew Azu already had developed this technology years ago and had implemented it with the Spartans. He had consulted the Azukage, and considering their and Konoha's dwindled military strength, Kiri would have to do the heavy fighting against the combined might of Kumo, Suna and Iwagakure. His village leader had agreed to share this technology with Kirigakure under Naruto's supervision, but only on the condition that in return the said Namikas would help safeguard Azu by helping them create their new superweapon. Our greatest problem in this war is distance. Enemy lands are too far from us, and while it keeps us safe as well, it creates havoc on our supply lines. If we are to make any significant advances into enemy territory, then we need to upgrade our technology and our military doctrine. It is therefore my intention to transform the 501st into a para-commando force capable of fighting on land, air and sea. These winged devices allows its users to fly by using their chakra, and the device in the man's hand in the picture is called a kunai launcher that allows a user to fire nearly 100 kunai per minute. Before I embarked on my last mission, Lord Mizuki was kind enough to authorize this plan. Already the various legions are being established, and we have started en masse production of this winged device and the kunai launchers. While we finalize our alliance with Konoha and Azu, the Anbu commander shall oversee the training of the 501st. Not every shinobi can be a part of this elite force, as it will require immense chakra control and great reserves, or the user shall never be able to fly. As such, I have only requested 501 elite ninjas to be made a part of this group in honor of its name. Our objective will be to penetrate deep behind enemy lines, destroy bases, disrupt supply lines, assassinate key commanders, secure safe routes for our main legions to march through, and much more. By the time he was finished with the explanation, there was pin-drop silence in the room. Taking advantage of that, Naruto gestured towards the Anbu commander, who gave a hidden smirk. Genjutsu smiled on seeing many clan heads blanch when a hail of kunai came through the lone window in the room and got stuck in the ceiling. Few brave ninjas quickly took action and were about to charge through the window to apprehend the attacker, but were dumbfounded when they saw a Kiri Anbu flying outside in that strange device and holding a kunai launcher in his hand. He merely gave them a jovial salute before flying away, much to the amazement of the remaining shinobi. A commotion erupted inside the meeting room, with each person reacting in a different manner. Some were outraged at such a display, some were excited for what this development meant for their village. Some of the younger ninja instantly started requesting the Mizuki to be made a part of this elite force, as barely a handful shinobi had ever managed to fly in the history of the shinobi world. You need to be at least Chunin level and above to be eligible. Genin are strictly not allowed. A medical team shall first check your body on the parameters that I and the leadership have set. If you qualify, then you will undergo a 4-week rigorous training course. I expect less than 5% to pass, but anyone can try, challenged Naruto with a smirk. If this is going to be such an effective force, don't you think we should at least have more than 501 shinobi in its ranks? Make it more larger and more lethal? Questioned Lord Minaze Terumi curiously. The logistics cost is too high, my lord. Each of that winged device and kunai launcher costs more than what a Junin makes in a year, combined with their training and compensation costs. This is an expensive program. But I assure you, those 501 ninjas shall be the best of this village, capable of undertaking any mission thrown at them. Quality over quantity, that's what I am aiming at, explained Naruto honestly. We're glad you are on our side, Lord Namikaze, said Lord Yagura Karatachi with a pointed gaze directed at the mysterious blonde who had changed Kiri in ways nobody could have imagined in such a short span of time. This makes me actually confident of our victory. As long as we have Lord Namikaze and the Mizuki leading us in such an exemplary manner, we can win, agreed Lord Yamato Yuki with a bright smile. Similar sentiments were echoed by almost everyone in the room save for the Kaguya and Hagoromo clan heads, who just gave respectful nods of acknowledgement. The rest of the meeting divulged into the specifics of their war strategy and what terms they were expecting to be signed between themselves and Konoha with its allies. The discussion lasted for the entire day with many arguments and protests. By the time it was over, the moon had already arrived in the sky and everybody just wanted to retire for the night. Naruto was also about to leave when he was stopped by the Mizuki himself. We need to talk, son. He narrowed his gaze suspiciously but nodded and followed after the Kiri leader towards his office. Naruto sat in utter silence inside the Mizuki's office. Are you alright, son? Asked Genjutsu hesitantly. Fit for duty, Lord Second. Genjutsu flinched on that crisp reply uttered without any emotion. It didn't feel as if he was interacting with a boy whom he almost considered a son, but instead a shinobi bound to serve his cage. I know that words alone won't be enough for the loss you have suffered because of my decision, apologized Genjutsu. Then don't waste them. The Mizuki again flinched on that brutal reply and the ice-cold look in the blonde's eyes. As they looked into each other's gaze, an unsaid understanding passed between them, with Genjutsu giving a final but respectful nod to the blonde. Then I will get straight to the point, said the Mizuki with a strict tone, the warmth and friendliness disappearing from his face. I am appointing you as my successor. That got the blonde's attention completely as his eyes widened in shock, which was not something unexpected considering the gravity of the announcement. In the event of my death in this war, Naruto Namikaze, you shall succeed me as the Sandaime third Mizukage. The blonde's lips trembled and no words came out of his mouth until a few moments, which was something the Mizukage allowed patiently. Why me? Because you have the strength to do what is right for our people, even if it costs you everything, answered Genjutsu with a straight face. There are many who share my belief. Your son included, so I ask again, why me? Asked Naruto seriously. Because you are the future of this village. From the moment I met you, there was something special about you. Never in our village's history have the masses looked up to a man like they do to you. The veterans want to fight under your command, the clan heads respect you, the common civilians believe in you, and the children consider you their hero. You're the leader our people would love to follow in the near future instead of people like me who gained power through clan politics. The other clan heads are not fit to rule as they cannot see what truly matters, explained Genjutsu with a proud smile. The other clan heads would not support this, said Naruto hesitantly. In reality, he could not believe what he was hearing. His ultimate objective in Kurgakure was to set himself in the high echelons of the leadership in order to serve Izu's interests, but never in his wildest dreams had he imagined himself becoming the Kage of the Mist Village. It was not his destiny. Shinobi like him's nameless deaths in the shadows, never seeing the light of day. The silent protectors. That's what he was meant to be, that's what he chose to be. He felt a firm but gentle hand being placed upon his shoulder and the Mizukage looking at him with a proud fatherly smile. You're not the man you're pretending to be. Not yet. He felt his heart shatter into a million pieces as those words see deep through his very soul and he fought back a sob but couldn't stop his eyes from becoming a moist. An inferno of raging emotions flooded his sea as he couldn't help but relieve what he had been through to reach this point. All that pain, all that death, all that suffering. He had always lied to his superiors from Izu about his feelings towards the Mist Village. When he had arrived here, he was a broken man wanting to ess in an honorable way in the service of his village. Instead, this place gave him the acceptance he had been searching for years. One that his own motherland denied him even after all his ess. These people gave him a chance which he never deserved. He was once again among comrades, once again a respected leader of ninjas, he gained friends and the woman he loved. His heart was torn apart as he remembered what vow he had made all those years ago. Family, duty, honor, I don't belong here, he whispered in a trembling voice, for it was the truth as he came as an orphan refugee in this village and made his way from there. He was not born in this village, he was not one of them. He couldn't be, and this could change everything forever. His honor would never allow him to truly serve Izu if he was made the Kage of this village, and Genjutsu's words only brought his worst fears to life. You're Naruto Namikaze of the Mist. A lone tear fell from his eyes as his entire being trembled, but Genjutsu's hand over his shoulder never wavered for a second, or the faith the man had in his eyes for him. In that moment, he felt a part of his soul being freed from the chains he had been bound to for eternity. Yet a terrible choice was once again placed before him. A path of honor, or a path of duty. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.